give it a test. Oh, it's working. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Started here in a second. Good afternoon. I was driving half an hour, selecting the German guy. Got a review. Yeah, that Florian interview was great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I love all the people in the comments of the video too. Pretty funny. Just make sure I got all my screens set up. We'll get started if you want me to look at anything at all. Just let me know. Perking up a little bit. I like what I see in Legacy. So that helps. That certainly doesn't hurt. Where's my screen here? Boo. I was looking at RGTI before this. Great interview. Thanks, Karen. For some people, if they don't know anything about technical analysis or if they're anti-technical analysis, seeing interviews like that, it's like, okay, this is a moment in time. Maybe some of them are going to follow up on anything I said as far as just the analysis part, not the investing part, and maybe that gives them ammo to dig deeper on learning about this stuff, because he was saying before the show that a lot of people in Germany aren't really technical analysis oriented, and they're more fundamental based, and especially things like Ichimoku Cloud, which oddly is hyper regional, maybe just because it was created in Japan, and I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how people do stuff without TA. So, especially in crypto. What's up, Peter? Yeah, there's a recording. I retweeted it on Twitter. Maybe I should upload it to YouTube as well. I don't know. Wormhole, Arb, Soul, Link, Sedge, RGTI, Galaxy, German viewer, boom. Maybe. Somebody said something about my bearish tweets. Chris telling me to shake off the bearish tweets. Yeah, I mean, we can start with BTC, just because I was looking at RGTI. I saw somebody posted there's a quantum ETF. There it is, QTUM. This is important to us for crypto, because if there's anything that's more highly speculative than quantum, you can let me know. But the quantum computing stuff clearly caught a bid based on the AI narrative. But to see this, like those charts I shared in the alt video, perking up, you've got high yield perking up, you've got equal weighted perking up, you've got all this stuff that continues to just float higher. It's hard to go down when pockets of the market continue to move up like this. So this is an all-time high for this ETF. And RGTI also looks good. RGTI just specifically, there's still a little bit of a head and shoulders risk. Not today, but if this comes back down to 15, then I think it's in trouble. So it really needs to like get its show on the road here. Clearly it double tapped the breakout at 15, it double tapped the Kijun. And if you contrast this to the MSTR chart, which this is the MSTR chart, but in a parallel universe where the MSTR chart actually broke out, right? Like this is what MSTR should look like. And these two have been tracking oddly. And that broke down recently, So Rigetti is how you'd want an MSTR to look, where it's holding those highs. It's not breaking down. So that's the difference, right? That's the difference between a winner and a loser. Its ability to fight off bad news. I don't know if you'd call the Nvidia earnings bad news. I just think at this point, this was yesterday for anyone living under a rock, not knowing. It wasn't bad news in my book. They're reporting insane numbers, but it's slowing down a little bit. And at this point, if you have the valuation that Nvidia does, with the chart that Nvidia does, it's up since April, 100% since April. Yeah, people are probably going to start taking some off. And if that forms a head and shoulders up here, which to me, again, head and shoulders risk. We're seeing this in a lot of places. That if this rolls over, it could bring the rest of the market with it. So if the leaders slow down, you need the laggards to catch up in some way to make up the difference. That's just a broadening out. And I only keep bringing this up because that's what we're seeing in crypto, right? We're seeing ETH finally pick up. Can HNS exist even though there isn't? Yeah, so Peter Brandt, I had seen versions of this Head and Shoulders before, but he was the first one to actually call it a name. He calls it the King's Castle Head and Shoulders. I think specifically in that case, it's the shoulders are higher than the head, but whatever. We can talk about semantics and stuff, but at the end of the day, to me, if you have 3 peaks with an equal support or resist level, that's a Head and Shoulders. I don't care. So if this breaks 170, we're in trouble unless something else picks up the slack. And the same is to be said for SMH. SMH is going in the opposite direction. So this tells me that there's some broadening out in the ETF itself. Even though Nvidia is like 22% of this ETF, this went higher today. It's still going higher. That's a good sign for sentiment in the market. And that's why it's worth paying attention to stuff like the quantum ETF. Like, you might be bullish page 56 alts, but you need the sentiment to be there. And this is a really good sign. So worth paying attention to. Yeah, NBIS, any of the AI stuff, it's a good time today to like reassess all of it, just because from a TA perspective, maybe you're overweight NVIDIA, or you're thinking about doing whatever with NVIDIA. Some of this other stuff on a relative basis may start to overperform just because NVIDIA has slowed down. In your book is a triple top really a Head and Shoulders? Not always. What's a good example of a triple top right now? Like KWeb. People think I'm on the payroll for KWeb. I wouldn't call this a Head and Shoulders yet, but if you get this, if it breaks back down sub 30, then absolutely. It's less about like what is it and more about how does anything that looks like this behave. Anything that looks like this, should this break 30, is not bullish. And that's it. We give a name to it. We call it a Head and Shoulders, call it a triple top, call it whatever you want. But if this is the case, then it's very hard to be bullish on this. This should not, at this point, break back into the resistance level. It should not break below the cloud. All of this stuff, it needs to get going if it's actually bullish. If it's neutral, fine. But if it's actually bullish, it will not break support here. It will not break support here. Thanks, Mohammed. Have you checked page 56? We checked page 56 the other day. I mean, we can do it now, but it's a lot of stuff I'd never heard of. I mean, most people, I think, probably never heard of. Let's get rid of that. More room. Where's the page thing here? Here we go. Can I just go? Let's go there. Page 56. Yeah, I've never heard of any of this stuff. Not a single thing. Not a single thing. It's like, it gets really weird really quick, I don't know. I've never heard of any of that. So let's start with BTC, I guess. There are times when you have a really clear view and conviction of price action. At least I think so. There are times when I'm just constantly thinking about what this looks like on the cloud and where it could go, and this is a huge breakout potential, and that's not BTC right now. That is this chart. This chart right here, GLD, looks insane, continues to look insane. It's just how that's the TA, like, right? I might be anti-gold, but the TA looks phenomenal. This continues to make highs. Again, if you are bullish, if you're really bullish, Making a higher high should not be hard. Breaking out of this should not be hard if you're bullish. So 316, 317 on GLD is the key level. This fractal, this formation, has a history of breaking up. It has a bullish bias. You can position in front of that, should you feel comfortable, and trade it that way. This is called technical analysis, right? This is called chart patterns. So this chart looks phenomenal. It looks like it has, it's about to have momentum and direction for the first time since April, okay? ETH BTC back in, what is this, July? Back in July, right? Clear convicted viewpoint. Here's a level. It's above the cloud. Here's a breakout. Boom. 03, whatever it was. Love it, right? So those are like high conviction, high leverage, high sizing, max account, whatever type ideas, my best ideas. Whereas Bitcoin here, I got nothing. I got nothing other than potentially more bearishness. And that's the issue. Like, you could buy here and be right, you could buy here and be wrong. I have no idea. I have no conviction. I have no opinion. It's in a range. You could argue it's above this level. If we draw this out, could say, okay, it's checking back to the breakout level. It is still below the yearly pivot at 122. If I'm bullish here, I like this level to 150. The stop loss would be a new lower low at 108. If we get a daily close at 108, I'm out. But until then, I'm expecting 150. That's a trade you could take. I'm not hating on it. I just think that is a very low chance of success based on how this looks here. Now, that isn't to say this can't go to 150 in Q4, because I'm sure it will. But today, where's the best place, in my opinion, to trade to the long side? It's something like gold. That's just how it is. So, like, I have no opinion here because this is neutral. And I have no opinion on ETH, really, because it's so overbought. And that isn't like, oh, this has to go down. It's just, I took the trade. I think most people did. And what more do you want? Nvidia's up 100% since the low. ETH is still up 200% since the low. That doesn't mean it can't keep going. It's just markets typically don't go straight up incredibly percentage-wise forever. This is going to consolidate, and that's that. So like today, last week, the week before, I've liked ETH less and less because it's hit targets. That's all. If it breaks this Tenkin, then yeah, I still like a pullback to the daily Kijun here at 3675, whatever it is. It also has a continuous bear div since July. Bear divs can go on forever, but this is just more evidence to me that this is just not the place to be right now. That's it. In the near term. What is the chart pattern algo saying? Oh, look at that. The chart pattern algo says rising wedge. Not something I would call, but sure. Just another check and balance on what to look for. This doesn't particularly look bearish consolidation wise. Like it's noisy. I don't think it's a diamond. I don't think it's a head and shoulders. I don't think it's really much of anything. You've got ETF flows still very, very high, which is good. You got big Treasury companies still buying ETH, which is good. Bullish, tailwind. But you have the validator queue at 1 million ETH. On the exit side, it's rising on the entry side too, but I just have to think, let's see that clear first, that it doesn't have to be bearish, but let's see that queue come down. That's all. And I think you're seeing some bullishness, some rotation from Sol ETH, because these are all momentum assets. And if you haven't done anything for me lately on the ETH side, it's like, okay, what else is next, right? These are the locusts. I've said this before. These are the locusts moving from wheat field to wheat field. They've exhausted like 75% of the ETH wheat field for the moment. So now they're moving to Sol. Right? At least for now. Sol's done very well over the past couple days. I think it's still probably a little early to call this bottom on Sol ETH. But it's looked worse, right? It's looked worse. T bullish TK. Let me just read chat. KWeb. Yeah, KWeb, just like gold. So gold, it took, gold is not a fast momentum asset normally, and it took 6 months or whatever to consolidate, right? KWeb, it's been 3 years. This may chop around for another 6 months. I have no idea. All I know is I like things that are at breakout levels or pushing highs. So that's why I like KWeb. And you size it accordingly. It's like Rivian. You know, we're just gonna do the greatest hits, go down the list. Rivian, this has taken 3 years to consolidate. You just have to give it time. Put in some trailing stop losses and give it time. Say, I'm going to sell here, I'm going to buy here. End of story. I feel really confident about this idea above 15. I feel amazing about this idea above 17, above 18. We don't need a straight candle to those levels. It's just closes successively above those levels that give me a lot more confidence in the idea. And of course you have the cloud, which it's kind of been in and out of trying to be above. But you can't expect a pattern or a consolidation that's taken an extended period of time to break out super quickly. I think just being there, being in the room where it happens and saying, okay, this looks good enough, like gold, right? Gold may fail at 317, never break out, I don't know, but it looks really good. It looks really, really good. Figs is another one. I feel a lot better about Figs than Rivian. Figs has continued to just break highs and hold highs. If you're bullish, that's what you want. The target is the target, whatever, I don't care. But if you're bullish, it should not be hard to make successive highs over a period of time. That's it. That's it. Like, it doesn't get more complicated than that. We can look at, this is commodities, rare earth, REMX. Same story. You have an idea out of the gate based on a high time frame trend. If you're bullish, you should not have trouble making highs. That's it. There's nothing other than that, right? We can have a target in mind. We can have a trailing stop loss. But this is what bullish things do. They keep going, right? Maybe not this fast, but it shouldn't be hard to break up. So like Nvidia consolidating, why force a trade here is my question. You know, if Nvidia was the only place where you're seeing action from a momentum perspective, if you're a momentum trader, then I love Nvidia, right? But you're not seeing action from Nvidia here. There are other places to trade, other things to do. And this is already like the train is already in the maintenance bay because it already arrived, right? Like there's nothing else to do here in the moment where there's, to me, plenty of other places to trade from a position perspective. Could we go back to 2022 policies if stagflation is confirmed? I think rates are going to go as low as the Fed thinks is appropriate. And by the Fed, I mean Donald J. Trump, because he's going to pack the Fed. That may take 3 to 6 months, but he's going to get it done. And then the chips are going to fall where they may. It's about as far as I take it on that one. What percentage of Head and Shoulders play out? It's a good question. You could tease that apart a little bit. You know, the Head and Shoulders that look like this versus the Head and Shoulders that look like this, XLF. And not for nothing, a lot of these charts had a little head and shoulders risk before they broke up, right? I can't see a head and shoulders and trade that to the long side. I have to see it expire first. So I need to see the Nvidia head and shoulders expire. There was a head and shoulders risk back here. It sort of faked out and eventually broke down. But I can't see a bearish pattern and think, yeah, I need to trade this to the long side. That's not how I work. I don't care if it's a wedge. I don't care what it is. But if you look up, what's his name? Strong Polish lad. Bulkowski chart patterns. If you want to actually look at percentages, we can go to his website. You can go to his website and look at. I love that he built this in like Angel Cities or Angel Studio or whatever it's called, GeoCities, and he sort of left it. Head and shoulders tops. Let's take a look. Average decline 16, rank, so he ranks all of them, 9 out of 36, percentage meeting target 51. So, you know, you can look at all these based on his data and say, this is XYZ, I agree with this, I don't. I don't know, right? Like you can, like he did, you can put a rank on all these. I just know that if you're seeing these patterns in multiple places, and there's some leaders and there's some laggards, but generally they're all headed in the same direction, you know, I pay attention to that. And you can say the same for the SPY. The SPY here just doesn't care. This is an all-time high. All-time highs aren't bearish, right? Yes, there's this huge edge-to-edge risk that's lurking and looming, but that doesn't trigger until we look like BTC, which is in the cloud. So party on. Party on. The Qs have it a little bit more, I'd argue, just because you haven't made higher highs yet. But it doesn't look like this is going to materialize either. It's still a part of the potential roadmap, but you know, what's the trade here is the question. I don't think there is a trade here, right? That's my whole point. You don't need to be trading any of this. Just trade individual stuff, trade other ETFs. Like, why bother? Why bother trading the Qs when, to me, there's higher conviction plays elsewhere that look way better? Just reading chat. Could China move inversely to the US? It could. I'd have to look at Chinese seasonality. I don't know. I don't know if that exists online that's been published. We could always run it ourselves, obviously, with the data, but I'd have to check that. Along with, this is shipping, which Nuanda has pointed out, I think last stream or somebody else did with the Tide Wolf or something. These charts look phenomenal. But again, you have to pay attention to, you know, maybe you want some of this in your portfolio for whatever reason. The percentage moves here aren't high. There's a high dividend on this, which maybe some people might like. This is, I mean, it's still a respectable 35 to 60%. This has taken a year to play out, but yeah, I mean, it's, am I bearish on anything that looks like this? No, this looks phenomenal. The boat ETF is another one. Global shipping ETF. If we take off the dividend. So again, like there's plenty of stuff that's breaking out. It has broken out, just started to over the past week. Why are we forcing trades on anything that looks like this? Like Nvidia, why? Not saying that people are yelling at me about that, but it's just like the path of least resistance is just elsewhere, you know? I don't know. That's just my opinion. It was an event that nobody predicted, but Pith, yeah, I did see it was up 50%. What's up, Sully on Twitter? Favorite chart patterns? There's a video on my channel. I talk a lot about that. Love head and shoulders, love triangles, falling wedges, that sort of thing. We ripped up last year, September. that's the other thing about seasonality. It's like, okay, seasonality gives you a roadmap, just a rough idea of what to expect. I wouldn't treat it as gospel. But if you don't look like you are going to break out and seasonality is trash, again, why? Seasonality could be totally wrong. This could be the stone cold bottom. We could go to 150 tomorrow. I just can't get excited about this chart. That's it. Like, okay, you know, if the seasonality for gold is also bearish in September, but the chart looked like this, I'd say, okay, I'm going to take TA over seasonality because this looks incredible. We're just not there for BTC. We're just not. ETH bearish TK on the 4-hour. I think like the SPY, like, again, if we're thinking like high cap versus low cap, the market's mindset is rotation. We're seeing that with BTC versus alts. We're seeing that in IWM versus the Qs. This is IWM versus QQQ. That's just where the market's at. The reason it's there is because a ton of money has been made on the leaders. A ton of money. And it's not just that, you're seeing evidence of the rotation, right? So it just is what it is. You're seeing potential reversal patterns on the high cap stuff, and you're seeing potential bullish reversal patterns on the low cap stuff. And there's a ton of alts that we'll get to that still haven't even broken out yet. Is the liquidity BTC? I don't think so. If we look at the chart, this is, what is this? That's total 2 versus US liquidity. But if we pull up BTC versus global liquidity, I don't know which axis that's in, but the idea here is that if liquidity is rising globally, the general direction of travel eventually for any fixed asset should be higher. Gold is sniffing that out right now. Gold is more responsive to global liquidity than BTC is. BTC tends to lag, but it also tends to overperform gold. They have a lead lag relationship. I'm just trying to fix my scale here. So this is a 75-day offset for liquidity. It doesn't matter what the offset is. I don't care. Like, none of that matters. People get so like upset about 2 weeks versus 10 weeks. Who gives a shit? Okay, if it's going up, that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. This isn't going to give you perfect timing on BTC positions, but in the big swings, it's very, very helpful. So if we do get a big swing higher here, gold should move first, BTC later. Terrible September or mediocre September for BTC, and just crazy move in Q4. That's, again, that fits my bias. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. But if gold didn't look like it did, if liquidity didn't look like it did, if this was all curling down, it'd be a different story, but that's not what we're seeing. So if you have the ability to trade, to fish where the fish are, you know, to trade the potential breakout, that's what I like. And if that's not crypto, that's not crypto. That's okay. But I do think the liquidity relationship is still intact. Crypto natives are locusts. I don't think crypto native is just the retail crowd, you know. Took profits on ENA and ETH. Yeah, ENA was a great trade. And if we contrast that, if we work our way into alts, ENA is also not bearish, but it's just like there's over a 2x move that just happened, right? And I used to say this all the time with a lot of the alts that were up a lot. In 2024, what more do people want? Like, it was already a 300, 200% move. You have to give this stuff time. You don't think people that are in profit are selling up here? They're absolutely selling up here. So I'm right there with them, right? Give this some time to reconsolidate. And sure, just like ETH, Love it. So you can either try to force trades here and maybe do okay, maybe not do okay, or you can look for better setups, or you can just look for stuff that hasn't done anything yet. And in that pile, I would put AVAX. AVAX looks perfectly fine here. If this can start to make higher highs, love it. Cardano, also maybe a little falling wedge at the breakout level there. SWI kind of giving back more than you'd want, but also in the conversation. INJ in the conversation. Any chart that looks like this is in the conversation. DYDX. I don't think any of these are individually, maybe I like AVAX more than the rest, but I don't know if any of these are today trades. There are breakout trades that I like after we move through the resistance level. But sure, why not, right? Why not? Maybe none of them break up. Maybe all of them do. Maybe half of them do. Maybe the ones you don't trade break up. I don't know. But just use alerts and go nuts. That's what I'm doing. Matic is in the conversation. Wormhole's in the conversation. If these are bullish, they should not have trouble making higher highs, breaking resistance. That's it. It's as simple as that. Ondo in that conversation. Ton in that conversation. Near in that conversation. Apt in that conversation. Eventually Dot in that conversation. This has nothing to do with fundamentals. This has nothing to do with smart contracts. This has nothing to do with stablecoins. This has nothing to do with RWA. This has nothing to do with tokenization. Doesn't matter. All I'm looking at is technicals here. So this whole list to me is just on the wait and see pile. If this stuff can start to make higher highs, sure. You know, it's just kind of unexciting, but Pith did make a higher high on some news that the government's going to be putting data on chain and they're using Pith as an oracle. From a TA perspective, you could say, all right, let's see where this lands today or tomorrow and then start pulling the trigger. Why not? You know, you put this up here now. It's a leader of the laggards starting to break up. Tia, no. Maker, no. ARB and OP. Yeah, ARB is probably also a leader of the laggards. It broke out, checked back to the resistance level. It still looks fine. I love seeing the transactional fundamentals breaking out, aka lots of people are using ARB. That's helpful to actually have fundamentals to point to aside from technicals. But yeah, I like ARB. HNS have the highest hit rate. I don't know. We'd have to check what Bulkowski says. To me, they feel like they have a high hit rate. Rivian looks good here. I agree. Yeah, Hood is another one. People either, just generally making a generalization here, people either do really well with something like this and they kind of get married to it. And again, they're like forcing trades or something, right? Where they're just blind. They're a little bit, they have a house palette, you know, to Hood or to some stock, Tesla, Galaxy, whatever. And they're not looking at it objectively, or maybe they're a long-term investor time frame. But again, this is 3x from the April low. What more do you want today? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Again, this has nothing to do with daily active users, tokenization, baby bonds. Like none of that stuff is what I'm talking about here. All that stuff is great. Love it. Perfect. But this chart does not look like it wants to go higher today. So I would not buy here. Buy, seller, hold. I am a seller. Just on how this looks based on opportunities elsewhere. And it's possible that this is also a head and shoulders candidate. It's possible that this doesn't pull back as far as I want it to, and other stuff just doesn't break up as much as you'd expect, and it still outperforms. That's possible too, but this is a probability game. If I had the option to trade anything else right now, it wouldn't be this. That's all. We talked about it at the head and shoulders. We talked about it at the breakout. It hit the target. I don't know. I got nothing else. That's all I got. It just looks like momentum has slowed down. That's all. I think Sol can run in September. I think just based on Sol BTC, this looks very strong to me. Seasonality be damned. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think you have to be careful on high leverage into September. I think you have to be careful not putting stop losses on trades into September, but the Sol BTC chart looks great. Love it. That's what you want to see. And honestly, AVAX BTC also. Like, what else is there in life, you know? I just want one thing, and it's a fresh cloud breakout after 12 months. This looks good. It may continue to go sideways and make higher lows, but good things happen above the cloud, for sure. Thoughts on BTC Treasury companies after so many MNAVs have deflated? I kind of think there's only room for one leader in the Treasury company play per coin, maybe two. But you know, you can't expect, I don't care if they're accumulating ETH or not. If the underlying isn't bullish, if ETH isn't bullish, is BMNR going to be bullish? Probably not. If I had to guess, if you had to pick, if you had to say, oh, ETH is flat, neutral, momentumless, should the leveraged play be bullish? Probably not. If it is, that's a divergence, fine. But you can't expect BMNR to break up if ETH is just doing nothing. You can't expect SBET to do well if ETH is doing nothing, and if it's second fiddle to BMNR. Okay, like, and then you go down the list to even more of these ETH treasury companies. Maybe they would randomly do well, but that's not the expectation. On like the lowest possible time frame, maybe there's an Adam and Eve down here on BMNR. But if you're bullish on the treasury companies, you should be bullish on underlying, I would think. If we overlay this, yeah, so unsurprisingly, when ETH broke out, so did BMNR. That's what you'd expect. That's what you'd expect. ETH in the red. If ETH is doing nothing, which it really hasn't done much since the 13th, if ETH is doing nothing, how can you expect this thing to do well? The only other metric that you'd probably want to pay attention to is just the acquisition amount or the speed at which they're acquiring ETH. That may affect the valuation, obviously, but in a vacuum, if ETH isn't bullish, BMNR is not going to be bullish. So it's a bit weird that some of these, like this one, this is the SUI. The SUI play. This one just relisted on under new ticker. This has been fairly bullish. This is the TON, TON treasury play. This thing has pulled back a lot. So sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason, but all things being equal, I wouldn't expect something like MSTR. You can't expect this to do well if Bitcoin is not breaking up. These are leveraged plays on the underlying. Do you play leverage when the underlying isn't bullish? No, I don't. Why should you? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I don't care what Saylor says. I don't care what the metrics look like. If Bitcoin's not bullish, MSTR shouldn't be bullish. That's just the expectation for me. So this looks bad. It's below the cloud. This could be a bear flag. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for MSTR. Doesn't need to go to zero, but I also don't need to trade this. I'm not trading this from 340 to 380. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to trade this from 400 to 800. So if it's not at 400, I don't care. It's a piece of furniture to me. Doesn't matter. IHS have made more money for me than anything, and it's not even close. That is the other part of this 80-20. Once you start trading this a little bit, get your beak wet, you will find which setups work best for you. Maybe it's a different chart pattern than that, but it's about conviction, it's about sizing, it's about entry, it's about time frame, you know, like all that stuff comes into play. So just because I like something doesn't mean you're going to connect with it. GDX, GDXJ. Yeah, I should probably write some of these down, huh? Open door. Oh man, there's a gentleman who's been asking me about SNEC for a long time. I got nothing. I have zero thoughts. Zero thoughts. My edge is not low time frame meme coins. That's not generally my edge, so I just don't know much to say. I guess you could call it an inverted head and shoulders, maybe. Like, is it bullish? It's fairly bullish. Is it amazing looking? Not really, but neither is most of crypto. So, what does it look like against Sol? I don't know. Like, it doesn't look great against Sol. Probably doesn't look great against ETH. Probably doesn't look worse than that against BTC, but yeah. It's the same for MSTR. If you're trading this stuff for a 10x and it isn't a clear winner against lower risk layer ones, to me, it's like, why bother? But that's me. And we can look at the meme coins, and I think collectively, they're all just sort of doing nothing, you know? They're not going anywhere. They don't look excited to be where they're at. They don't look ready to go. Doge, if it can start to make highs, sure. SHIB, just hanging out. You know, if it can start to break up back to these levels, I like it a lot. But why are we buying stuff in a range? I don't know. Again, I'm not here to trade the range. I don't give a shit about the range. I'm here to trade momentum. I'm here to trade those 20, 50% days, right? I'm not here to sit in this and just get chewed up. Pepe, also bonk, no, whiff, flat. None of these look like anything, you know, like they just don't. They don't look like anything. No setups, no nothing. And it's, again, not a coincidence that you had this edge-to-edge trade back here on Pepe, and it's just consolidated since then, since that breakout. This was a huge move. This was a 200% move, and now it's been 5 months where it's just done nothing. I don't know. That's my expectation. Like, you got to give this stuff time. And just to compare, like Open Door, it's the same issue. You know, it's like this stuff, it went up so fast. What are the probabilities that this is going to continue at the same speed is always the question I'm asking. So I got nothing. This is clearly some sort of meme, activist, Wall Street bets stuff, right? I don't know. I have nothing else to say about it. Nothing else to say. That's not my edge. my edge is haunting, but stalking stuff before a move and then positioning appropriately. Can an indicator on your charts compare stock versus BTC? You can make an oscillator. He's talking about relative value stuff for BTC versus the stock market or whatever. You can do that and just put it in an oscillator as a moving average, definitely. So I like Sol over ETH. I like AVAX over ETH. What does that chart look like? That must be like at some crazy low. Yeah. Is this bullish? Not really, but on a relative value basis, you could say it's trying, you know. Does it look great? No, it doesn't. It looks awful. Are you kidding me? But you could take a stab. You could take a stab. We looked at ARB. It looks good. What else we got? I need an AI that can pull tickers and make a list for me. That's what I need. MSOS continues. Again, if you're bullish, it's not hard to make highs. It just isn't. Somebody flagged this like weeks ago. We started talking about it. I'm sure there's a recording, but I was talking about the W. I was talking about the cloud breakout. Good things happen above the cloud. Good things happen after a multi-month consolidation. Clearly, this has a regulatory schedule change. Blah 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 blah. Looks great. It's outperformed the expected chart pattern consolidation move. What more do you want? Looks really good. On the weekly, I don't know. I got nothing to say. It's just, this is what you'd expect. This is what you always want to see. Pattern plus cloud is go time. For sure. Whiff. Whiff or fart coin in September? That's a real question. Somebody just asked me. There are just certain things I prefer not to trade. This is one of them. You know, that's just me. I'm allowed to have my biases. Okay, I'm a human being, right? That being said, this chart looks horrific. It's below the cloud. That's all I need to say. It's making new multi-month lows. I mean, is that something I buy? Is that something I ever talk about? No. I do not like this chart at all. Yuck. So I like whiff over fart coin for sure. Yeah, Aave. The problem with Aave is it has ranged a lot over the past couple months. Is it bearish? No. Has it done well up here? Not really. Those are about, that's about as far as I take it. Is this pre-breakout? Is this pre-mean reversion? Is this hitting a target? No to all those questions, but if the gold standard is gold, it's no contest. It's no contest. Sorry. Like, it doesn't matter what the asset is. It happens to be GLD, but if BTC looked like this, again, I would love it. I'd say nothing else matters, but we're not there. Roblox, says Paul. That's another one. Again, I don't want to like crap all over somebody who's probably done very well on this, but we were talking about this in 2024. And I know because I took this trade and I got out certainly earlier than 110. I can tell you that. But it's the same thing with Hood, with these other charts. This is already up 300% in a year and a half. Maybe money goes somewhere else. So that's just like first thought. Second thought is I would be worried about a head and shoulders risk up here. Easily able to be negated. It looks like it's trying to negate. That's fine. People like momentum plays. It's just not for me. Just not for me. If we measure this, so this move, expected move was here, and it's exceeded that. So I don't know. I got nothing. I got nothing for you. It's not a high probability play for me. It was when we talked about it in 2024, and we talked about Hood. We talked, I don't even know, 2023? Yeah, 2023. Like, I know because I took several trades on Hood. one that ended up being successful, very successful, but this is where I like the trades, you know, down here. When they look dead and ready to break out, nobody's talking about it. That's the goal, because then the rest is just, it's easy, right? Who cares? You made your money. And this ended up being from the bottom, 1,000% from the bottom. So again, 1,000% from 2024. Maybe trade something else. I don't know. Like, yeah, I could keep going. But why? If the setup's not there, if the targets are reached, I don't know. Kara says, what more do I want? I want the moon. He wants the moon. All right, so some charts I like. Roku's another one. Roku is kind of like a Netflix-ish competitor. I don't care. I just like the chart. Ascending triangle. It's above the cloud. Looks similar to KWeb. Just happens to line up. Multi-year drawdown. Love it. What was the other one? Lift. Same deal. Above the cloud at a breakout level. These are charts that have not moved in this case, years. There's probably a great reason why this hasn't moved in years. The fundamentals are probably awful. Great, I don't care. If it starts making higher highs, fundamentals take care of themselves, okay? Look at ETH, look at the flows for the ETH ETFs. They had nothing for a year. Price starts going up. Oh my God, look at the flows. Crazy, right? So a lot of problems fix themselves. I like the potential and the possibility for anything that looks like this. Are we going to get 1,000% move on this? Probably not, but I think we'll get a decent move. SHNY 3x. Okay. Yeah. Is this can this power be learned? No. Is this a US vehicle that I could trade this? Might be. I know UGL. This is 2x BT, not BTC. 2x gold. Absolutely. This is the time. If there was ever a time for a leveraged ETF, it would be about now. Look, would you look at that? Would you look at the time? It's about now. It's starting to break up. Not an endorsement, not financial advice, but people ask me all the time, when do you like leverage? When something's about to break out. That's when I love leverage. Hut. I've seen worse charts, I guess. It looks okay. Not terrible. Certainly better than most of the miners. I'll give you that. It's trading closer to the AI stuff than Bitcoin miner. Gold is chatting. Yeah, GSOL, OLSOL, Sol USD, whatever. All that stuff. The problem with GSOL is, we can check this, but let's take a look. Let's take a look at the premium. I think it's 30%, aka you are getting 30% less than you would be. Did they get rid of it? 30% less than you would be just trading this on spot. Sol, 20%. Okay. So Sol is a 20% premium, assuming this data is up to date, which I think it is. This, for most people, they don't care because it's the only way they can get exposure to Sol in their 401k or IRA or whatever. But just keep that in mind. The volume and liquidity on this is going to be better than most other options that you have for Sol, which would be OSOL. This is Osprey. This one's actually at a discount, but the problem is the volume is not great. You also have Sol T, which is leveraged. Solana, I don't really know much about this, how this behaves, but you know, it's an option. Something else to do if you're looking for Sol in the legacy rail. Why is Trump getting an ETF? Can't comment on that, but appreciate the question. Upexi does not look horrible. Yeah, no, you're on the right track here. If you're bullish Sol over ETH, let's go to the 30-minute. Yeah, it doesn't, it's bullish, just doesn't look like it's like breakout material, Upexi over SBET is a no-brainer. Upexi all the way. Now against BMNR, so this is basically Sol ETH is the pair, right? That's what things are getting wild when we're looking at like Treasury company against Treasury company. So this is Sol ETH Treasury companies, right? Yeah, it favors the Sol Treasury company. That's another way to think about it for sure. Just pit them against each other and see what you can see. Anything at all? I mean, look at that on the daily. That's a huge Adam and Eve favoring UPXI. Hype, to me, hype is kind of like Aave. It's bullish. It's just kind of gone nowhere since June. I don't know. Is it an ascending broadening wedge that's going to break down? Probably not. But the cloud says it's a go, right? And it's above the cloud. It's a bullish TK cross, etc. I don't know. I would rather trade AVAX. Does that sound weird? Probably. Hype against AVAX. Starting to favor hype a little bit, but I don't know. I just like where the USD charts sit for some of these. Yeah, Roblox we just checked. MSOX. Alex flagged it. Good for you, Alex. I hope you took the trade. I hope you made all the money. Great setup, great chart. GSOL we looked at. RGTI we looked at. Looks good. Josh AI. Been sitting in alts and I'm just now positive. If you removed your rotate cash. If I was sitting in alts today, I would do nothing and just wait until January 1st and make a decision. If we are bullish at all in Q4, then alts should do great. Alts should do great. Pattern plus cloud, it's go time. Josh 316. Yeah, Hood we talked about. I just think it's tired, needs time to consolidate. And that's just most of the leaders. Most of the leaders do not look like they will keep going. Bitcoin rolled over, ETH flat, Nvidia flat, SPY, Qs, SMH flat. Costco. This is one I hadn't looked at in a minute, but on the daily, so in 22, it had this insane triangle. It took over a year, and then it trended for like 3 years. Over and over again. You got a bullish TK recross over and over again. What do we have here? Nothing. Flat. Momentumless. So if you can get a bullish TK recross price above cloud, absolutely. It has a history of success. It has a history of doing that. But right now, right here, I got nothing. A few of these others grab. I don't hate it. It's just I closed out some of them. I had a grab position that I closed out this week for gold because it looks better. I don't hate it on high time frames. It just hasn't done anything. That's all. This could still do very well. What's the other one? Cart. Cart looks worse to me. What was the other one? I'm blanking, but there's a couple of them. There's a couple of them that look like grab, same type of business. Anyway, they're just I don't know. Like they're not moving like you'd want them to. You could probably throw Galaxy into that conversation. This really shouldn't hang out here much longer. This needs to get the show on the road if this is bullish. Otherwise, I'm out. Oklo, I think, actually pulled back up. Yeah. So Galaxy should look more like Oklo if it has a shot. You know, it should start to pull up back into the breakout area. This thinking what I'm trying to say. I still like the target. I still like, you know, everything about this over Galaxy. And I see a ton of Galaxy propaganda on Twitter about the bullishness of Galaxy and AI and data centers. It's just funny. So it looks great in the weekly cloud. Yeah, so it looks good. Sol ETH looks interesting on low time frames. I'll do a few more and then get out of here. Arrow, sure. Yeah, this is another one. It broke out. It did well. Up here, I got nothing. No opinion. XYZ block. Starting to look better on the daily. I'll give you that. My issue is this multi-year chop. I just don't have any faith that this can do well. That's my issue. It's in a good spot. It looks better than it's looked in a long time. So I like the possibility here. It's just 85 is to me the line in the sand. Griffin Digital Mining. Is this crypto? What is this? It looks good. It looks good. See, the difference between this and the alts that are kind of breaking down after breaking up, this is consolidated since May. And it's got an ascending triangle. It's above the cloud on the daily. I don't hate it. I don't know anything about it, but it looks interesting. I'll give you that. Toast, thank you. That was the other one. Yeah, see, just like Galaxy, you really don't want this living below the neckline for an extended period of time. It could still do well. I just think the pullback like that hurts the post-breakout performance. So like expectations may not be met, you know? Wayfair looks like the Roku chart. I think the compound guys were talking about Wayfair, weren't they? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's looked better than it's looked in a long time. It's just gone straight up since April. Yeah. Kind of one of those COVID darlings that gave it all back and is now back on the horn. Peloton, same deal. Trying to break up here. We'll see. I like it better higher. IREN, yeah, IREN. It's been one of the better performing miners. It's just like, today, do you like a position? I don't know. But I've kind of said that the entire move up, so, you know, who am I? But just looks like it's had a good run. It probably continues. It's probably good as long as the AI trade is good. You know, you're probably better off with a longer term viewpoint than anything I have to say on low time frames. Why do I have faith in Lyft and not XYZ? Because XYZ tried to break out and didn't, and reconsolidated for another, what is this? Another 200 days. It pulled back 55%, whereas Lyft is continuing to make higher lows. XYZ is not doing that. If you're bullish, you make higher lows, you make higher highs. That's it. XYZ went back into the range, like the bottom of the range. Yuck. This made a lower low here. Ugly. So that's why I like lift. All right, last couple. Unity. Yeah, looks good. I mean, I think somebody's asked me about this chart every week for the past 20 weeks or something. Kind of looks like the NBIS chart. Broke out, kind of super noisy. Still looks good. Getting close-ish to the target. But if you're in this long term, you love that this is kind of consolidating, and you know, maybe you take some off or add based on XYZ criteria at this level. But yeah, the chart looks good. Unquestionably looks good. No, bear chain is not something I normally pull up. Don't people like trading positive momentum? I think a lot of people just like trading penny stocks. That's my opinion, which is fine. There's a unit bias. I get it. There's a high like lottery ticket component to those. Yeah, Upwork. I mean, it's kind of noisy like XYZ, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. You know, it's trying to do some sort of scoop. Again, it's in the KWeb camp where KWeb had this great looking pattern and then just didn't break out. And now it's back to the level again, 2 years later or whatever. And 16 would be where I'd like it. So not a today idea, but maybe down the road. Long shots. People like their long shots. Yeah, Chuck, we talked about BTC in the open. I just think there's better things to trade right now than BTC. That's all. That's all. Last two. This one, what does this look like? Again, I feel like it's like I'm taking crazy pills. You know, it's like I'd rather trade anything else. Yes, hype ETH, potential bottom, potential inverted head and shoulders. So I see you, I hear you, but I just think there's easier things to trade than this. That's all. That's just me. Amazon, I think has, yeah, it still has the huge pattern. Love it. I love that Uncle Jeff sold us off. I love that this has gone nowhere in the group, in the Mag 7. Tesla's given a bunch back today, but I still like Tesla. So anyway, we'll leave it there. I like my setups. I don't like my non-setups. Somebody's talking about Tau Tech. Am I the type of guy to ever talk about fundamentals? Will fundamentals do anything for you when you're in the trenches? Asking yourself, why did I buy this? This looks like the fart coin chart. It has done nothing but sell off over and over again. It's looked better. It's tried. Here we are. I like it at highs. I don't care about fundamentals. End of story. But that's the story of alts right now. Show me that you're worth buying, and then I'll buy you. That's my TLDR. That's all I got for this one. Give me like dislike if you're watching this on the recording and I missed something. Let me know.